I love competing, and so I'm going to go have fun, compete. And this is like like very short window opportunity for me to do this with my brother. Like I get to practice with him, and then we're at the national tournament, and I get to warm up with him every round, and we can experience the national tournament together as competitors, and it was awesome, and that is the whole reason I did it.
Zach Glazier is someone who embodies what it really means to stay committed to the grind, even when the spotlight isn't always there. A 4-time place winner and 2-time state champ for Albert Lea, Zach spent his first 5 years at the University of Iowa. As a senior, he finally cracked the lineup and became a national qualifier. He spent a year at South Dakota State, again qualifying for nationals. This past season, he actually joined his brother at St. Cloud State for one final run where he became a Division II All-American. A wild ride that's centered around resilience, discipline, and staying ready no matter the circumstances. I'm Kelby Bachman, and this is Let's Talk Wrestling. In the heart of West Union, Iowa, lies a hidden gem in Euphoria Coffee. Owned by local residents Nicole and Shane Havenstreit, they source everything they can from local vendors. From hot and iced drinks, to savory breakfast burritos, to baked goods, to botany tea, and even homemade waffles, Euphoria Coffee is a place your entire family can enjoy. You can find more information at drinkeuphoриacoffee2go.com or visit their Facebook page. And we also have a special gift just for you. Next time you stop in, you can get a free baked good with a $20 purchase. Just mention the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Euphoria Coffee. Our purpose is deeper than coffee. How are you? What are you up to?
I'm good. Just hanging out, work today, and
Work?
then yeah, I've been working pretty much that full-time job all season. So,
Really?
yeah.
So you would go to work and then you'd go to practice?
Yep.
Dang, where do you work?
Just a construction supply company in town.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're super cool. They're good with schedule. If we had odd practice times or whatever, I'd just go to practice and come back, and it all worked good. So yeah.
How did that conversation come go about, like coming in the first time and being like, "Hey boss, so I'm kind of thinking I want to wrestle again." What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I first got hired there, like they knew I was coaching because
Okay.
I started the year coaching.
Yeah.
Um, and so they kind of knew that like I needed a little flexibility in my
Yeah.
schedule. And then and they were good with that. I was upfront with them, told them what that had to look like for me, and they were accommodating. And then when I chose to compete, it didn't really change anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, it worked out really good. But
Yeah. Was coaching always the plan? Like when you were getting ready to graduate, and move on from competing at that time, were you like, I'm going to coach, that's just what I want to do, or they just kind of happen?
I wouldn't say it was like the plan,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it. And my brother was here at St. Cloud, and it just kind of made sense. Like, yeah, I don't know if this is what I'm gonna do as a career, but
Yeah.
he's there right now, and I'd like to go help him out, and I do enjoy coaching, so let's go try it out. So
Yeah. What's it like coaching your brother? I mean, like the relationship dynamic of being the coach and he's your brother, and trying to kind of almost put aside like the personal relationship to make it kind of a coach athlete relationship, like what was that like? I mean, maybe it wasn't a big deal at all, but
it's good. We've
yeah,
always had a good relationship, and then just that like coaching relationship, like even when we were little,
yeah,
like I was always, you know, coaching him, and he's always like respected that,
yeah,
and been open to to what I had to say, and so we have really good relationship there, and it was awesome. I mean
Yeah.
that was the whole thing. Like even when I chose to compete, I was talking with coach, and like I'm still like still want to coach. Like I still want to be able to be there for the guys, and obviously especially my brother. And so like if you're people, I guess you don't necessarily see it on flow, but like people that were at the event, they saw me, like I was in his corner at nationals every match.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I was in his corner, and then when he was done, I had enough time to go back and gather my thoughts and warm up and go out and compete myself. So
Wow. So you were still coaching and competing like simultaneously.
yeah,
Wow. What
yeah,
was it like to try to collect your thoughts? Like you just said, you had to collect your thoughts. I'm like, okay, well, the big thing that happened was your brother, the whole controversy getting thrown and that
yep,
stuff. But like he gets beat and yeah, you have to go collect your thoughts now. I mean, was that kind of difficult at times, especially maybe that time, but just throughout when you were competing?
um, it it was, but to be honest with you, it like I'd get super nervous for his matches.
Yeah.
And then when he was done, like even after heartbreaker of a loss, like even after that, it's like the weight would lift off my shoulders. And so it wasn't like mentally I was like, all right, like I feel better now.
Yeah.
now that he's done, like I just gotta go out and do my thing. And I wasn't too nervous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's funny. Like I can relate to that. My brother's a couple years older than me, and man, when he would compete, yeah, I would. I mean, this was just at the high school level, and I'd be like, I'd be so nervous, like I'd be so hype, and I would get
yeah,
nervous when I competed. But yeah, man, there's something different about when you're watching your brother or sibling, compete. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just a little different.
yeah, yeah. It is for sure. It is for
Um,
sure.
How did you? I'm also so you were coaching and competing, and you were so I did 1 year of high school coaching, and that district tournament, man, is such a roller coaster of emotions. So like, how did you handle competing and coaching at super regionals when you're watching these guys that you put some time into, and maybe they didn't quite make it or whatever, and you have to still go out and compete, and your heart just broke because that dude didn't make it to nationals. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure. You is unique. Um, the whole thing unique experience,
Yeah,
but like you said, there's a lot of guys that everyone on the team you're invested in, and you're hoping that they do well and achieve their goals, and you got to watch them. Some of them not do well and still go out
yeah,
and compete. Um, but I as far as on competition day, I had to take a little step back from just being too invested in the other guys,
yeah.
just because it's I had to. That just being invested in my brother was enough. but but so I took a little step back,
Yeah.
once we got into the heat of the tournament and whatnot. But as far as like in the room and stuff, I mean, yeah, I was trying to as best I could to help all those guys and um, yeah.
Yeah. How did you know you still had a semester left of eligibility? Like, do people tell you? Did you just know? Because I'm just curious how often that happens where somebody's like, "Oh yeah, you still got a semester of eligibility," and you're like, "No, I had no idea."
Yeah, no, I knew because I had two shoulder surgeries while I was at Iowa,
Okay.
and one of them was pretty early in the season, and
Okay.
so I knew that I would be able to um, file for a medical hardship because of that, but I hadn't done it yet. So I didn't have it
Oh.
I didn't have it yet, and then there's a whole like when I got done last year at SDSU, you know, they were asking me what my plans were if I wanted to compete again or not. And, um, I said, I thought about it and I said, I don't think so. I think I'm done.
Mhm.
But like, I'm kind of burnt out right now, but maybe it'd be a good thing to file that and just in case, right? Like
Wow. Yeah.
just in case. Well, they had nothing to do with the coaches or anything. They're awesome, but the administration, they didn't want to. Like, well, you're not enrolled as like summer comes, and now you're not enrolled as a student anymore, and so we're
Mhm.
not going to do this for you since you're not technically a student. And it's like, all right, well, that sucks, but whatever. And so then in the fall, I get to St. Cloud to coach, and
Mhm.
Coach Costanzo was like right away, like he knew what he was doing, and he's like, hey, he goes, let me send me all the paperwork, let me do this for you, and just I'm not saying you got to wrestle or anything, just let me do this for you just in case. And
Mhm.
so they did. They took care of it quick and painless, and it was awesome. And yeah, and then so as soon as like I got approved, I don't know, it was mid-November maybe, like officially got it approved. And at that point still I'm like, no, I'm good. Like this coaching's fun and I'm
Yeah.
good. I don't want to compete. And then coach was like, all right, you thinking about it? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna keep thinking about it, but we'll see. And just every week a little more, a little more. And I honestly did not make a decision like verbally or even like in my head. Like I did not make a decision until like after Christmas. I was like, you know what? Like, screw it. I'm gonna. But like I
Mhm.
didn't like a couple weeks before that, it was still like, no, no, I'm not. And it just I yeah, it was kind of like last minute. It's like, all right, this is like officially like you gotta decide right now.
Yeah.
Because second semester is gonna start and you gotta either enroll or not. And so I did.
And what class did you enroll in? I was curious while you were talking. I'm like, he had to have taken a class. So like,
Yeah. Um, well, so I already got my master's degree finished at
mhm.
SDSU. And so I applied for a different master's program and I got in. And then they had two, like I guess D2 is different. You only have to be in for if you're in grad school, you only have to be in two courses, the six
Okay.
credits. And I think D1 is nine for grad school. So I only
Yeah.
needed two classes, and they're both online. And yeah, that part was pretty painless, pretty
Yeah.
simple. So
Yeah. Are you still taking those classes right now? Or are they done?
um, that makes me sound bad, maybe, but no, I'm not.
No, I didn't know like how like if they did like trimesters or whatever, like, you know,
No,
or
like I said, I already have a master's degree. I didn't really feel the need to actually actually you know pursue and
sure,
finish more.
sure,
So
sure. And
yeah.
yeah,
So no, I'm not, now that the national tournament's over, I'm not taking classes anymore.
gotcha. What
But
classes were they?
um it was in a educational leadership program.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah.
Because your undergrad was sports, was it like sports management and rec and sports management?
Yep. Yep. And then same, my master's was same, sport administration is what master's was called, but same thing.
Gotcha.
So
And but you're working, I'm sorry, where did you say you're working now?
just a construction supply
Yeah,
company. Yeah,
that's not really sports admin.
yeah. No, no. Um honestly, we'll see. I think the
Yeah,
only thing where my degree really would come into play is coaching. If I had,
yeah.
actually pursued a career in coaching and got into that side of things. Um, but otherwise, like back home, my dad has a concrete and excavating company, construction,
Okay.
and that's what growing up doing. And probably gonna move back here soon, actually, and start. I've always done it every summer, but not like obviously being in college and especially at D1 level, you don't have much time in the summer to go home and work.
Yeah.
But now start actually have some time and get a little more involved and kind of what I want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah,
How cool was it, to wrestle at St. Cloud State? Your brother was there, but also your dad wrestled there, like that
yeah,
was that pretty neat, like to also wrestle the same place with your dad, or as he did, not with
yeah,
him, but you know what I mean?
right. Yeah, it was cool, and I think it was cool for him too. Just with the his old teammates and alumni of the program, like recognizing that and just reaching out, and I think it was cool for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Was that the first time you were on a team with your brother? I'm starting to like think about it. Like,
um, we were so in high school, like in Minnesota, you can wrestle varsity seventh,
right.
eighth grade.
Yeah.
So we were on the same team when he was seventh grade for sure. I'm trying to think if I was a senior. I think I think 2 years. I think
Okay.
his seventh and eighth grade year. His eighth grade year, I was a senior. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, we had 2 years on the same
Okay.
team, but
Probably still a little different though now, like being older and back then the age gap between a seventh grader and an eighth
well,
grader, a senior, is different.
right. Couple things. Yeah, he still was back then. Like he still enjoyed. Like he wanted me to help him, but like he's a young teenager,
Sure.
and so it's like just you're that age where you just don't want to listen to anyone and be mouthy and whatever
Sure, of
and
course.
it's like we would fight a lot, and then back then he's a 106 pounder and I'm a 182, right? And now we're
Right.
a lot closer to the same size and don't and we don't fight as much anymore. So yeah, uh it was it's a little different now.
Yeah. Did did you realize it like kind of in the moment? And I know it's only been like a week out since not even since, the tournament concluded, but being on that team with him this past semester, I mean, did it ever sink in? Did you ever think about like how kind of cool and special it is to have that, even as short as it was, that time with him on the same team and your dad and alumni watching? I mean, that just had to be pretty special.
Yeah, that honestly, that what you just said is like really the whole reason I did it. Um, I wasn't like super invested in like obviously I want to win and I've always wanted to win, but it wasn't really about that. It was just like, hey, I love competing, and so I'm gonna go have fun, compete, and this is like a once like very short window opportunity for me to do this with my brother. Like I get to practice with him and then, we're at the national tournament and I get to warm up with him every round and we can, experience the national tournament together as competitors and it was awesome. And that is the whole reason I did it. And so like even, it sucked to lose and, obviously I wasn't planning on that, but it didn't hurt me too bad, and it didn't take much for me to bounce back from that because that was my purpose of doing what I was doing was not necessarily for that. It was more the overall experience with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, I'll sum it up as like you weren't doing this as you felt like you had something left to prove, or you fell short of your goals, and so you weren't chasing necessarily. I mean, obviously, like you said, you wanted to win, but it wasn't the whole purpose, wasn't an individual thing. It was, this is like literally a once in a lifetime window here where you can compete with your brother and do all these things and have these
Mhm.
experiences that if you don't do it, it's done. Like it's gone. And so
Yep.
that
Yeah.
was the driving force.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm glad I did it. And even knowing the result, I'd do it again. Um,
Sure.
it it was awesome.
Yeah.
So
Did you talk to him much about it when you were kind of going back and forth like, I don't know. Was he like in your ear like, come on, man, like, come on.
No, I talked to him a little bit about it, and he was like the only one I talked to about it.
Yeah,
I didn't really talk to parents about it. Didn't talk to my girlfriend about it. Like no one. Just I talked to him a little bit, and he was like pretty. Um, he didn't want to like influence me at all. He was just like,
sure. Yeah.
like, it's up to you. But then, like when we really got down to it, I was like, well, like, what do you think? And he's like, no, I think you should. Like, I think it'd be cool. I'm like, all right. So
Awesome. Uh, Bringing it back, let's rewind the clock a little bit.
yeah,
Are you originally from Albert Lea?
yes,
Okay. So like born
yep,
and raised, like is that where you're like in family, you're the Glazier family is from?
correct. Yep.
Okay. Nice. And so then how did your brother end up at Case
At
Casson Manor?
Casson.
Yeah,
Yep.
Casson.
Yeah. Trying to think. I think before his sophomore year,
Hmm.
he decided to transfer, and it was not he just didn't have any partners in the
Yeah,
room for him, and and it was kind of during the whole COVID thing too, and
sure.
so like they in Albert Lea, like their administration wasn't going to let him like compete, and so it kind of they didn't know necessarily what the future was going to look like for like that season, and and so just also in Casson, they're like, no, we're going to compete, we whatever, and um,
Sure.
so it was a couple things,
Yeah.
and yeah, so and then like my mom, her job is in Rochester, which
Okay.
is Casson's a suburb of Rochester, basically. And so for her from Albert Lea, it's like an hour drive every day.
Wow.
Um, so that worked out really good for her while they were in Casson. She was really close to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a few things that made it make sense and made it easy for him. But
Was it
then
she drove an hour, so she drove 2 hours round trip every day.
yeah, and she still does now because they don't parents don't live in Casson anymore. Back in Albert Lea. So
Dang. What a trooper. I like
yeah,
my cutoff is like I was driving 35 minutes and that was like pushing it. I was like, okay, I
yeah,
can still do this. Yeah, like 45 minutes was probably like the hard max. I mean, an hour, dude.
yeah. I get a lot of calls from her on her drive home.
Yeah.
she's out she's always looking to pass the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. My brother's the same way. Like his commute's about 45 minutes to an hour, maybe. And yeah, yep. He'll call and you're like, oh wow, it's that time of the day, huh? You know, they're driving home. When did you like obviously Albert Lee has like a big history in wrestling, but like
yeah,
were you invested in it right away? Like since your dad wrestled, did he just sort of throw you in and there you go? Or
yeah. I pretty much started. I think they started taking me to practices when I was like 3 years old, and and I don't know when I actually went to a tournament,
yeah,
maybe five or something. But yeah, just right away thrown. And then like in youth, my dad would help out. And then eventually he was the head youth coach, and then help, coach throughout high school. And then even when uh, Cole went to Casson, he's helped out with him there. So he's always coached us too.
yeah. What did you have any resistance to it? Like, no, I don't know, Dad. Can I like I want to do something else or were you
Uh,
nope.
no, not really. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember being that way. I mean, I remember when I was younger, like I'm talking, I don't know, first, second, third grade, like I remember a little resistance, like off season, like, yeah, I don't really want to go to this freestyle practice or
Yeah.
whatever. And then it was like, all right, that's fine. Don't go. And but then I don't know, by the time, well, let's see. I I played other sports, but I think by the time sixth grade was over, I like going into middle school, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing anything else anymore. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
wrestle year round. So yeah, no, I don't remember ever having any resistance to it at all.
Yeah. Did you like other sports that you played? I mean, was there anything else that was sort of pulling you a little bit? Like for me, it was baseball. I've said this many times. Like baseball, I love it. That was a sport that I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed. So
I enjoyed doing them, but I wasn't super good at baseball, so that one was easy. That one was easy to quit.
yeah.
Football, I liked football, and like I was big, and so um, I was decent at it, I think. And but I had to have a knee surgery my after my sixth grade year, so I couldn't play football my seventh grade year. And then we Albert Lea also like their varsity football program was really bad.
Yeah.
like like literally I think my whole high school career, I think they won 2 or 3 games total. So like 0 for
Rough. That's
seasons,
rough.
And so it was, I couldn't play that season. Like I had to sit out that season. And then that combined with the fact that they weren't really that good. And so like a lot of my buddies were kind of quitting anyways because they're not good.
Mhm.
It was easy to not continue playing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, so I'm from MFL Marmac, which is a small town, Monona, Iowa. It's a small town, northeast Iowa.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, like our football team wasn't very good. So, I mean, we ran cross country, just us and a group of friends, and we were wrestlers and we ran cross country because, yeah, I mean, our football team they won a couple games every year, maybe one or two every year. So, like, they had that going, but no, we weren't going
I
to bring any
I
anything.
did I did actually run cross country in
Hey.
seventh and eighth grade.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to or liked running at all. I despise running. But my dad thought it was a good idea. Like, yeah, like that'd be good for you to get in shape for wrestling.
I suppose.
And I did it, and then
Yeah.
got to the point like, hey, I'm gonna start like lifting more or something. I'll wrestle to get in shape, and I'll lift,
Right.
and I don't need to do this running thing. Not a
Yeah.
fan.
Can I don't know if I've ever asked this or if I know this. Like, can you do all sports in Minnesota, varsity in seventh grade? Or are there only certain
That's
sports that you
that's
can do?
a that's a good question. I guess I've never thought about that. I guess I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, when
But
like when you said you got hurt your sixth grade, you're going into your seventh grade with football. I was like, could you play football varsity in seventh grade? But
yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know for sure.
What happened to your knee? You said you hurt your knee in sixth grade?
Um, Actually, I didn't hurt it. I had a pretty bad just the way I was born. I had a pretty
Hmm.
bad leg length discrepancy, and
Oh, okay.
so it as I grew, it got to the point where my one leg was got almost to like an inch and a half longer, and
Wow.
and than my right leg, my left leg than my right leg, and
Yeah.
so like obviously it was messing with my hips and my back and whatever, and so they went in and they drilled a hole through my growth plate in my bigger leg just to
Hmm.
slow it down so my other one would catch up.
Hmm.
And as far as the length, like I think it worked pretty well. Um, but like if you pay attention, like watch me wrestle, like my right leg is actually quite a bit small, like especially with my calf. Like if you look at my calves together, it's quite a bit
Hmm.
smaller than my other leg. So
Really?
yeah, it's just the way I was born, I guess.
Yeah. But you said they're pretty much now
I
they're
Yeah, I guess I haven't. I know like I got checked up on like maybe 2 to 3 years after that, for
yeah.
they kept checking to make sure. And at that point, it was good. I don't know where I'm at now, but I think I think it's all right. I
Nice.
guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. What was that like
Yeah.
growing up? Like, did you notice it obviously, like walking around or stuff, or like when you put on
Uh,
pants? I mean, was it anything that you noticed?
Not really. I just had to like I wore a heel lift in my one shoe, and
Gotcha.
um, but I mean, nothing else really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so did you start varsity your seventh and eighth grade year at Albert Lea or
I did not start my seventh grade year,
no?
but we
Was
had
that when you were hurt? Were you hurt that year with the surgery?
no, I was good.
Okay.
I was good. We had a 106 pounder that he was a sophomore. He was a state champ that year. Ended up being a three-time state champ for us. It's a really
Nice.
good wrestler.
Yeah.
And I was behind him. But then eighth grade year, I was varsity. Yep.
Yeah. Did you know about like I'm gonna ask you about your dad real quick. Did you know about his wrestling history? Like, was he open about it? Like, hey, yeah, this is what I did. I wrestled here. I wrestled at St. Cloud State. Like, did he talk about it a whole lot, or was that something that just sort of came with time? You just eventually started to find out, like, hey, dad was kind of good.
Yeah, I came with time, I think. Like
Yeah.
just when we started like getting more curious and that, like we always knew that he used to wrestle, but like as you get older, you start like wondering like, well, like like how'd you do and like whatever. And then he
Yeah.
had like in storage room, he's got old VHS tapes of him
Nice.
wrestling, and we found those, and so then all of a sudden we put those on TV, and he comes in the room, it's like, whoa, what are you watching? But yeah, so yeah, we eventually figured it out, but
Well, what'd you think, Coach? Looking, now that you've been a coach for a little bit, was he good? Did he have like a good lefty high C, or was he sort of was he unathletic? Like, what'd you think?
no, he was pretty tough. The
Yeah,
wrestling, just in general, the wrestling style back then is like different. Like just watching guys wrestle
yeah.
from back then, it's like, it's like I don't know like it's not worse. Like they're still good, but it's like
Hmm.
it's different. It's a different
Sure,
like flow. But
sure.
no, he was pretty tough. He had terrible like I tore his ACLs like twice in high school and then like three times in college. Or like twice one knee and three times the other knee or something. I don't. He had terrible uh, ACL problems throughout
Yeah,
his career, so that hurt him quite a bit. But
yeah. I wouldn't find it fair if I didn't ask about your mom. Did she do sports? Was she kind of an athlete as well?
she she was a cheerleader. She actually went to college in for cheerleading. I don't remember though. I know she ended up transferring out, so I don't know if she did that for a year or two, and then ended up being done with that. But so yeah, a little bit.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't want her to feel left out, that
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't ask about her, but because cheering, dude, that can be tough. you
yeah.
know, Jeez. Um, so you get to, Albert Lee and you're starting, and did you start to feel at some point, like, or at some points throughout your high school career that you were starting to get pretty good and that like you were going to go to the next level, and maybe that you knew like I'm going to go to the D1 level, like cuz there's kind of like I've found there's kind of like levels to people's thoughts at times, like sure I'll wrestle at the next level. Oh gosh, I'm going to go D1. Oh man, I want to wrestle for the Hawkeyes, like, there's like a
Yeah.
progression.
Um, I mean, I always wanted to, right? Like,
Yeah.
growing up, like you watch those guys on TV, and like you always, want to, like you're like, I want to do that someday. Um, I don't know. And I mean, I knew as I got into high school and was having success, like I would want to do it, at the
Mhm.
next level, whether that was D1 or not. Um, and then really big. Well, so let's see. Trying to think. After my sophomore year, then I All American at Fargo at cadets, and obviously,
Yeah.
that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like when if you guys go and you All American at Fargo, that's you kind of know like all right, like you're legit or you're good,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so I did that, and then come into my junior year, I hadn't really got recruited much yet, and then wrestled in a preseason tournament, and I wrestled Peyton Robb, and I beat him. And then they just that was the match for me. And
Yeah.
and then I started getting recruited, and then and kept having success after that too. And so that was when I'm like, all right, like this guy's really good. He's top guy in the country at the time. And then
Yeah.
like coaches start reaching out to you, and you're like, all right, like I must be good enough to do this. So
Yeah. Was
yeah,
that back when Peyton had hair?
I think he had a little hair. Yeah,
He had a little
I
hair
think
there. Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I was
Maybe
gonna
I
say,
don't know though.
no,
Maybe
I was like, we
maybe
could,
not. I don't.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's a big win. I mean, a Minnesota guy, like that's a big win. Were there some guys, Minnesota has such a rich history in wrestling. Like when you were growing up, were there some people that you kind of looked at or pointed to, like those are my guys, especially being from Minnesota and watching the Gophers and all that stuff? Or, did you have some people you looked up to?
Um. I mean, I guess as far as from Minnesota,
Yeah.
like I trained at MN Elite, the club, and that was at the time that was out of the Apple Valley wrestling room, and so that's Mark Hall and
Yeah.
Gable and those guys, and so like and Mark Hall was around the room quite a bit, you know, helping the younger guys at Min Elite, and so like that was definitely a guy that he looked up to and
Yeah.
interact, awesome guy, and interacted, would interact with us, and um, that's one of them. And then trying to think who else.
Did you ever think about wrestling for Albert Lea? Because how far away is Albert Lea?
Apple
Apple
Valley.
Valley. Yeah. Because are they a little farther apart or?
Yeah, I mean yeah, they're like an hour and a half apart.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, a little bit, like
Sure.
not too serious, but like
Yeah.
getting into seventh grade, eighth grade, like um, there's a little bit, like you
Of
have
course.
people that kind of throw comments at you, like, oh, maybe you should come here and you'd
Yeah.
fit in really good and whatever, and um, but nothing too serious.
Yeah. Because I mean, Albert, like I said, Albert Lea, being from that pocket of Iowa, we would go up to like Decorah and wrestle at their team camps, and Albert Lea would come down, and so
Yep,
like we
yep,
kind of got used to knowing them, and I mean they were tough.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
it sounds like there's been a little bit of a dip maybe lately.
yeah, yeah. They super good history,
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I mean they're kind of really since about when I graduated
Yeah.
it was kind of you know maintaining that level of success, and then kind of started going down from there a little bit. They
Yeah.
had they only had three head coaches for up till like 2017, I think, for I don't know, I want to say like 70 or 80 years.
Yeah.
Like there's three head coaches, so each one was a very long time.
Yeah.
And then after that, now they've had, I think, three in the last 5 or 6 years, just
Yeah.
turning over, and so that's tough on a program
Yeah.
when you kind of keep getting in new guys and um, whatever. But there's still, I mean, it's still there. There's still wrestling culture, and hopefully they can revive a little bit. But
Yeah. Yeah. Hope so. Um, Was it as you were kind of going through, I was looking you up a little bit, and like as you were going through your high school career, like a lot of guys kind of end up eventually sort of maintaining a weight. You just kind of kept
yeah,
growing.
yeah,
You started, did you start high school at 126 and you ended at 182?
106. Yeah,
106. Okay. Yeah. You started
yep,
at, I mean, holy cow.
yep, yeah. I competed at like in a duel, at least I competed at every single weight class. in high school, except for 145. That one I jumped it. But like,
Really?
but besides, so like if I weighed in at, if I was a 26 pounder, like there were duels where I'd bump up and wrestle and same thing every year. And then like even my senior year, we strategically had to, for some duels that were important, had to like weigh me in heavy so I could bump up and whatever. So I wrestled every weight class other than 145. That one I jumped.
Every weight class.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny you said 145. I thought you were going to say heavyweight, like,
Yeah.
but 145, huh? You
Yeah.
didn't,
That one just
you didn't
jumped.
just,
I grew too fast past that one.
yeah. What was that like? I mean, did your style change as time went on, or did you just sort of maintain the same style, just kind of tweaked it slightly when you got bigger? Because like when you wrestle 106, that's it's a little different than
Mhm.
182.
Yeah. No, I think my style stayed quite a bit the same, and I think that's you know one of the reasons why I had some success was
Hmm.
not a lot of big guys are always super proficient at taking low level attacks or scrambling or whatever. And so if you were little and you have experience doing that, and then as you get bigger, you keep doing that. There's some guys that don't know how to deal with that. So it was good for me.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed, or I read that you graduated summa cum laude in high school.
Yeah.
Was that like was academics then easy for you, or did you put just as much effort into your academics as you did athletics?
I was fortunate. I honestly didn't have to like try too hard. I paid, just made sure I got my homework done and paid attention, and I did well. So yeah, I was
Yeah.
fortunate. It came pretty easy for me. That's good. It's
Yeah.
not that way. Not that way for everybody. So I'm fortunate,
Yeah.
but
But I mean, to what I've kind of learned a little bit also is like I understand it comes sort of easy, but to some degree, like you have to put in some effort to get that good of grades, to become summa cum laude, like to be valedictorian. Like I know people will say it comes easy, but there's got to be some effort that goes into that too, right?
yeah, I mean, I guess like definitely as a standard. Like I wasn't gonna let myself do bad, and like my parents weren't gonna let me do bad.
Hmm.
So like yeah, there's a standard like hey, you're gonna get A's, you're gonna do well, but
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean like I said though, it's just pay attention and get your work done, right? Like yeah, I'm not slacking off, so yeah, to that extent, there's you got to put work into it and do what you're
Hmm.
supposed to do, but yeah.
I, I'll be honest, I didn't even know. Like, is that a Minnesota thing that they do summa cum laude? Because I thought that was just a college thing. Like high school, you have valedictorians, salutatorians, right? But
Oh, um,
I mean,
I
at
don't
least
know.
in Iowa, that's what they have. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I'm I'm not sure.
because
I guess that
which one is summa cum laude? Is that second,
um I think so. And there was a bunch
or
of us that all
is it above a certain GPA? Is that what it
I
is?
think it's above a certain GPA because there was a bunch of
Gotcha,
us that had it.
gotcha.
Like we all like, tied, I guess, or above a certain GPA. So and
Yeah,
like we had college courses in high school, and it
really.
was unique. Like our teachers were actually certified to like teach those classes, whereas some high schools like you can do that, but they're like online through a college or whatever. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so like we actually had those in our high school with those teachers. Um, so like you get my I had over a 4.0 GPA because you like those college classes are like weighted
yeah.
heavier.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Dang. So when you went to Iowa, how many credits did you have? Some credits already in the bank?
I think I had a little more than this, but I think like 36 transferred.
Wow,
So yeah,
that's like
yeah,
that's like a year.
yeah, yeah. That's a lot. That's
Yeah. So
good.
you, wow. So you basically already had a year down. Plus, like, I'm surprised you don't have like a freaking doctorate right now because, like,
Yeah, I mean, well, like I knew, like, well, I guess going in your red shirt, you know, you're going to be there for 5 years. You know that for sure. And
sure.
so,
Yeah.
like, kind of like pacing, like if I was super
Yep.
ambitious, you could like, yeah, like, oh, I have time to cram all this extra stuff in, but kind of pacing it out, like, all right, like, I don't need to take a ton of credits. Like, I'm
Gotcha.
on pace to, you know, finish here and start a master's degree and finish. And so,
Gotcha. Okay. So you kind of, went to like, you kind of set it up where you could do like 12 credits or,
yeah,
you
yep,
know. Okay. So you didn't go the
yep.
Michael Kemmerer route and ended up becoming Dr. Kemmerer. You didn't do that?
No, no,
No.
no.
When did first let me ask you about your sophomore year because that's when you finished second. Um, probably at that point, you were starting to feel like I am going to win this tournament. You got fourth as a freshman and then you get second. I mean, was that pretty devastating for you, especially at that age and probably with your goals and everything?
Yeah, it was. I remember it pretty clearly, actually.
Really?
um, um, and it sucked a lot just because, like, you get that far,
Yeah.
right? Like, you come this far, and then you lose, and it's like yeah, it's hard. But yeah, I mean, it was I was injured that tournament, and I wrestled a really good guy in the finals.
Hmm.
I think he ended up being a four timer. Um, and so it sucked, but after I was able to give myself some perspective, like, got over it, and you start training for the next one.
Yeah. So then like fast forward a year, was that junior year pretty sweet then to collect, kind of feel like you get that monkey off your back, kind of put your stamp on like,
Yeah,
all right, I'm getting recruited. That's great, but I still don't have that state title. You know what I mean? Like you're still like have that missing piece.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, felt super good. It felt like it was really like vindicating. Like,
Yeah, yeah, good, yeah, good word, yeah.
I've been like doing all this work for a long time, and like, believed in myself, like, way before that, like, hey, I'm gonna be state champ at the time, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of people around you, like, they shake their head and, like, yeah, whatever. And then finally, you get it done, and it's
Hmm.
like, all right, like, this I did what I said I was gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely felt good.
Did you have success on the AAU? Did you ever have like an AAU state title or a couple placements or anything like that?
Yeah, we had so in Minnesota, there's two different organizations that hosted a state tournament. They're kind of weird.
Hmm.
Um, but the tougher one actually was NYWA, is the organization,
Okay.
and that one, I only won once, and I only placed on because they age wise, right? So, first and second graders, third and fourth, fifth and sixth.
Yeah.
Um, and I only would place at that tournament on my up year. But when I was young, like,
Yeah.
I never placed. But then we had like Min USA through USA Wrestling, that state
Yeah.
tournament. I won that a handful of times. So yeah, I mean, I had success. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
you know phenom, or like, I wasn't Peyton Robb, uh, but I was tough.
Yeah. Does Minnesota not have an AAU then? I'm trying
No,
to think. No. Okay.
no,
Okay. That's what makes it unique. Okay.
yeah,
Because like in
yep,
Iowa, yeah, we have AAU.
right,
And then
yep.
and then we have like USA State, after AAU. We'll do USA State through USA Wrestling. So
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
Interesting they don't have an AAU. I guess I never thought about it. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I've kind of known, but like I've never actually thought about how it doesn't have an amateur athletic union. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, okay. Back on track. So like when you win your title your junior year, that probably really picked up recruiting. Did you have any sense of where you were going to go? Were you just being bombarded with information, or were you pretty clear cut in like your decision making and how this process went along? So I feel like that can be kind of a tricky situation at times for kids.
Yeah, it was tricky. So I think like all through my junior year, I would just keep getting more and more texts and calls and from different coaches, and um, then you start thinking, and it was tricky. But I remember just waiting because I grew up a Hawkeye fan. I
Really? Yeah.
just I don't know what it was. Well, we have one family friend who was a big. Yeah, he actually wrestled for Dan Gable for a short period of time,
Yeah.
and so he is big Hawkeye, and so I think he was always in my ear when I was little. Um, and so I just grew up a Hawkeye fan, and so I remember that season. I was just waiting, like, oh, I'm getting all this attention. Be really cool if you know got a call from them.
Yeah.
And so I was waiting, and they were um, one of the last ones to reach out. Everyone, all the other schools were pretty much right away. My junior year after that win, I was like, all the schools I talked to were pretty much on me, and
Yeah.
Minnesota, and whatever. And so I remember just waiting, like, well, I'm not going to make any decision yet because I'm hoping to hear from them. And then finally, I
Mhm.
did. I think, it, yeah, in the spring after I won it my junior year, I finally heard from them, and then um, it didn't take super long, and
Yeah.
I committed there. So
Yeah. Well, when you finally committed, what was the rest of your high school career like? You know, was it difficult? I guess my question is more like, was it difficult to kind of stay in the moment and focus on like high school and like the next state title and like unfinished business and all that stuff? Or did you find yourself kind of straying to the next thing, the next level, college, and what that was going to be like? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you make that decision, it almost it can in a way if you let it would like close your high school chapter or you kind of overlook it and you don't appreciate it as much even though it's like oh you got a whole another year of high school yet like go enjoy it.
yeah.
I mean,
No, I don't think that happened.
yeah,
I was really present in my senior season,
yeah,
um, and and it was all good. And honestly, I like, yeah, I took it all in because I knew, like, I knew what it was going to be like at the next level, and especially
yeah,
going to Iowa. I'm like, this not going to be easy, you know what I mean.
yeah.
And so like I was thinking that like I need to enjoy this because I'm gonna go in as a freaking freshman, and it's probably gonna suck. Like I knew that. Like,
Hmm.
and not that I wasn't excited. I was super excited, but
Right.
like I was also like realistic. I'm like like it's gonna be hard, you know. So no, I was really present, and I remember being that way too. And so I
Yeah.
had that whole season was awesome. And um, just anytime there's honestly there's only been a handful of times in my career where I can honestly say like competed with fully present in the moment and competed with gratitude, right? Like you talk about, wrestlers talk about that all the time, and you try to be that way, but it's not hard, or it is really hard to be that way. Like it's got to be genuine. You can
Right.
say like, man, I'm just thankful for this moment, and I just happy to be here. And you can tell yourself that, but like that's different than like genuinely feeling that way, you know.
Mhm.
And so that my senior year was one of those times where I genuinely felt that way. And um, anytime you can do that, you obviously it feels good and you compete really well. So
Yeah. And it ended pretty special undefeated only undefeated season, and
yep.
for you and a state title. So,
Yep.
um, when when you went to Iowa, you wrestled 182 in high school. Were you cutting a lot of weight? Because you competed right away as a freshman, right at 197?
No, I was only 193. Um, they I knew that I would get bigger. Like I knew that at some point in my college career I'd be a 97, but
Gotcha.
I wasn't yet, and like I wanted to be an 84.
Hmm.
Um, but just kind of where they wanted me for the future, like they just kind of knew. Like we had Abe Assad too, and he was at 84, and they're like, I think it makes sense, like for him to be 84 and you to be 97, and you might as well just start competing there now. And
Yeah.
so, like, I remember like my freshman year, I went to Midlands, and um, I weighed in at like 193 pounds. I was just freaking that was hard. I was just freaking outpowered a little bit,
Yeah.
but it took me a while. It took me a couple years, really, honestly, to grow into the
Really?
weight. Yeah, but
Wow, interesting. That's an interesting kind of spot to be in because even though you could have cut and made the weight at 84, like it may have affected your ability to grow into a 97 pounder at some point, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, because when you're trying to actively grow, you're kind of fighting yourself, cutting out some calories and stuff when you should be intaking more calories. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah, if if I could get it back, I think I would have kind of held my ground and wrestled 84 for a year or two because
Yeah.
I'm biased, but I think I would have wrestled. Um, and I would have competed,
Yeah.
and so yeah, if I could get it back, I'd probably would have done that. But there's no doubt that I was gonna get bigger, and
Yeah.
I did. I did, but
And you had success though too. That was the other thing. I mean, it's not like you had like a losing record or 500. Like I think you were what, like 19-2 as a red shirt. I mean, you were
yeah,
good. You were putting together wins as an undersized 97 pounder.
yeah,
So
yeah. I guess too. Part of that, like I said, I didn't really grow into it for a couple years. Part of that, my trying to think when it was. In my second year, I had my first shoulder surgery, and then back to back years
mhm,
at shoulder surgery, and so like it's hard to like I'm not really lifting like you're out for 6 to 8 months. Like that's tough on obviously tough on your wrestling and tough on growing when you're trying to you know lift and work out and get bigger, and you can't really do any of that stuff. So
yeah.
that's part of it. But
Was there any point, like maybe even after the second shoulder injury, that you thought about throwing in the towel, or like, man, what am I doing? Like, I can't keep doing this to my body. I got a future, and like, did all those thoughts kind of flood at some point, especially like when you're rehabbing, and
mhm.
that's a grueling process.
Yeah, for sure. It did. It's like there's that time in there, um, in during those surgeries and just in that middle of college where I was like a little bit checked out. It's
Sure.
like yeah, like I'm like I'm satisfied. I can be done, and it was whatever is good run and had fun and whatever. But fortunately, I was able to get out of that way of thinking and have some opportunity. So
Was there anything that you can recall like that helped pull you out of that? Because I mean, injuries in wrestling, and especially at the college level, when you're putting in all this time and effort and energy, like it can be so draining. So like, to get past that and get through it, like was there something or someone or to help you get through that and to refocus and check you back in? As you said, you were kind of a little checked out. Did something check you back in?
yeah, I mean, I think two people come to mind. I guess my dad for sure. Like
Yeah.
he's talking to me, and like he can obviously read me, and hear how I'm talking, and like, he would check me like, hey, like you're not there just to be there, right? Like you got goals, and don't forget that.
And he went through
And
something similar. He went through a bunch of
right,
injuries. I'm sure he had firsthand was
right,
able to feel what you were feeling. So yeah, that's great.
right. So that, um, just always reminded me like, hey, you have goals and you got time and you're not done, and whatever. And then I would say like Jacob Warner was a super good teammate. Um, even though he was ahead of me, like just constantly, like reaffirming like, hey, like like you're good. Like I like he's one of the best, right? And he's telling me like, hey, you're gonna beat these guys. Like you can, you're really tough and you can beat these guys. And then obviously once he graduated, then and he stuck around and he was still in the room, and he's like, all right, like you know, it's your time now. And so he was a really good mentor for me.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Um, they called you the Bulldog, right? Or maybe it was just the coaching staff. Or do you know how you got that nickname, or who started calling you that or saying that you were a Bulldog?
I don't recall that. I don't um I don't think I heard that one.
Maybe
I
I was.
know
Maybe it's a. Maybe I chose the wrong nickname.
I
what did
know
you get?
that I know that like the forums and Twitter and stuff were calling me the Iceman.
The Iceman.
And that was just because I had multiple duels that came down to me. Like I was like if I won, ice the duel, whatever that season. So that's how I got that nickname. But I don't
Gotcha.
know. I don't think I've heard the other one before. But
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I thought like the Brands is or somebody, because you just man, you just like worked so hard, I don't know, like you just were so tough and you just grind. You were just a grinder, and so I don't know, they just called you a bulldog.
yeah,
But
it's possible. I don't know. You don't always see everything.
yeah. Uh, you know, was it difficult, because one of the things that was wondering about, being a guy that was on the team and, it wasn't your spot. I mean, I looked over before you were the starter at Iowa. I mean, you wrestled like maybe, I don't think it was even 20 matches over the course of like 5 years or 4 years, I think it was. Like,
Yeah.
what was it like, going through the grind of a season, practicing pretty much that's all you were doing. Like you weren't competing. I mean,
Yeah.
was that tough to not compete at all and all you did was practice? I mean, I've
Yeah.
spent 1 year now at
Well,
Air Force and like, dude, I can't imagine the grind of just practicing every day and not competing.
yeah. Well, that's why I was kind of mentally at where I was at, right? Um, you're just going through the grind, but not getting, you don't got anything to show for it. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely, definitely tough.
Yeah, and I mean, you weren't even competing at like I think maybe you wrestled at like an open, like you wrestled at like
Yeah.
the Luther Open, at the beginning of the year, but that was it. And like the rest of the
Yeah.
year, you were just practicing.
Well, yes, injuries hurt. I
Yeah,
couldn't compete. Um,
Oof.
yeah.
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 How did you ever think about transferring? Like I don't want to say back then because it's not like it was that long
Yeah.
ago, but like just
Yeah. I
even
know what you
just
mean.
looking at the state of mind now, like I mean, for you to stick around all those years, I mean,
Yeah.
why?
Um, I don't,
Simply put, why?
I don't think so. And I had people in my ear
Sure.
like telling, well, I say like my dad was one of them. Like
Yeah.
just because he knew, like his point of view was like, hey, you're too good to not be competing,
Yes, that is a great point. Great
right?
point. Yeah.
And so it definitely had a lot of people like, you know, telling me that, um, but it's just not what not I wanted to be a Hawkeye, and I wanted to. That's what I grew up. It was just one of those things that was. kind of lifelong dream. And so I was pretty committed to that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so no, I mean, like, did it cross my mind? Like, yeah, because people were talking to me about it, but
Sure.
I I didn't want to, you know.
Yeah. So then what was it like then that first, you know, one following in Jacob Warner's footsteps, but like the first time you're stepping out on that mat in Carver, I mean,
Mhm.
was that just like an out of body experience or like, or maybe it wasn't, maybe you were just, you were locked in, but what was that like to finally make the debut in Carver wearing that Hawkeye black and gold?
It was awesome. It was if if I could go back, it's hard to say because you make different decisions and like, maybe I could have went somewhere else and got a lot more years of competition.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe that would have made me better and I'd have been able to accomplish more. And
Yeah.
who knows? Hard to say. But it's hard. It would be hard for me to give away that experience that I had that season. It was
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and back to what I was talking about, like the way that I felt competing my senior year, that that season, so it'd be my fifth year of college. That season, wrestling at Iowa was one of those times too, where I was just super present, super grateful for every single opportunity, and and it showed, right? When you genuinely feel that way, it's easy to compete well.
Yeah.
So
And the
it
reason I
was
ask
awesome.
about the reason I ask about the transferring thing
Yeah,
was also because I talked to one of actually your teammates, Joel Jessaroga. And,
yeah.
I talked to him, on the podcast, and basically one of the reasons he wanted to transfer was because he knew how good he was. He wanted to showcase his abilities, you
Yeah.
know. So like there are different schools of thought there. So
Oh, for sure.
I was just curious, why what made you stick around. So because nobody would have blamed you if you left because of
Yeah.
how talented you were slash are, So anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there because like that is a very valid reason for people to be like, dude, I put in the work. I want to showcase my talents and what I can do. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Um, what was it like? I actually just thought about this because like I'm in Cleveland for the national tournament and I just saw AJ Ferrari and I was like, oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
totally forgot that you and him competed
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that whole like what if you can like even remember or even want to talk
Yeah.
like what the heck was that like being in that moment like being the wrestler like
Yeah. Um, it was obviously a tense moment, and it sucks because I didn't win the match, right? Like he got disqualified, but I didn't win the match. I got
yeah
taken down in overtime. Um, and so that sucked. Like I wasn't happy about anything,
yeah
but like the moment was pretty cool because he did what he did, and then he just got booed, right?
yeah
And and then I get my hand raised, and I'm pissed off because I freaking lost. But then like the whole place just goes nuts, and like it's kind of cool. And but yeah, then that whole thing was, I mean, even to this day, I still get people that like I don't even talk to, like just people from high school or something, like send me an Instagram reel that of me and him, and like it was crazy. The right, like I said, to this day that still happens, but like right after it, the amount of like texts and messages I got from people that like I haven't talked to in so long, and they like saw it, like it went like viral. So
yeah
it's funny, I guess. I don't know. It was interesting experience,
yeah
but
yeah
yeah.
um did you witness him doing the whole
No, I
ordeal,
didn't.
or where were you at when this was going on?
No, so I didn't see that because I don't remember if, like, I think it's literally I was still in. Trying to remember. I don't know if I was still in the middle of the mat, but I was like get my picture taken, whatever, with the trophy and have like the Marines there and whatever. And I was had my back turned. I don't know if I was still that or if I was already walking out, but I didn't. Either way, I didn't see that happen. And then one of my teammates was like, "Oh my god, dude, I can't believe he did that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, like that he like did what he did to me or whatever?" Like, no, like you didn't see what he did? I'm like, no, what'd he do? Like, oh, I did the splits and flipped off the crowd. I'm like, are you serious? You, like, no. So no, I did not see that. And then I go in the back and they're like telling me about it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And then obviously I start seeing video of it everywhere. I'm like, all right, that's what happened. So,
Hey, I forgot that. Yeah. So after that was right after the match that you were given the plaque or whatever and had your picture taken, and you were
yeah.
like fuming mad, like
Yeah. Well, yeah,
dang.
I wasn't yeah, I mean I lost and then
Hmm.
he freaking being cheap at the end or whatever and shoving my head in the mat after he got a takedown and so I was mad about that and whatever. Yeah, I wasn't happy. Like, but then you come off the mat and everyone starts telling you what's going on and I'm like, seriously? Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Uh, that year though was pretty special, like you said. I mean, numerous times the duel it didn't come down to you, but you sealed the duel.
correct. Yeah.
What was your like? Were you? Did it change your wrestling style at all? Like when it's coming down to the end, and you're like, dude, if I win, I seal the duel. Um, I mean, yeah, Iceman, you had ice in your veins. Like, I mean, did you think anything differently? As time was coming closer, and you're like, all right, you know, I can do this, or did that not even cross your mind? Were you just focused on winning, just in general?
um I don't think it really crossed my mind, just because you can't, right? Like you can't let that, like you can't add pressure to
Yeah,
yourself. It doesn't help. But you just, embrace the moment, right? I mean, it's not like I didn't know, but yeah, you just gotta focus on yourself and make sure that you're gonna compete well, and it is what it is.
yeah,
But
yeah. I remember, like when after I think the first time when was maybe like Iowa State or something, and
yeah,
then I forget it happened again. It happened a couple more times. Was one against maybe Oklahoma
yeah,
State. I don't know, but like there
yeah,
was like such a sense of pride being a Hawkeye fan, watching somebody who put in the time and waited their turn and came out and just, it almost like
mhm.
it seemed like you were like the epitome of what Hawkeye wrestling was. Like did you feel that at all? Did people kind of mention that to you? Like this, you are the definition of an Iowa Hawkeye.
Yeah, for sure. I got that general sentiment from people, and for good or for bad, you read Twitter and stuff. And that year it was mostly good. So, uh, uh, yeah, yeah, I definitely got that, and that was cool. You take a little pride in that. I mean, obviously, when you got the fan base like Hawkeye fan, I mean, there's no other fan base like it, and you got all those people behind you. Like it, definitely adds to the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that must have just been a special year. Well, you know, in a way it was special because like obviously it didn't end the way you had hoped, you know,
Yeah,
being a
yeah,
all-American or a national champ. Like,
yeah,
so I mean, in a way, like we talk about it like it was this great, amazing year, which in a sense it was, but like do you still kind of look at it like that a little bit? Like, man, people come up to me, but man, like you were the Iceman, and you're like, I, I guess, yeah, but I didn't finish how I wanted.
yeah. I mean, I guess I can't change it now, and so
Yeah,
you just proud of the stuff that I did do, and
yeah,
and it was tough tough finish. I don't think I've ever been more upset than that.
Really?
I mean, I remember just and even like Tom was like had the same feeling as me. Is like, yeah, like I don't know what happened either. And like I'm like it's like yeah, like it freaking it's worse. Like this it's bad to say, but it's like yeah, it's like worse than a death. Like like it hurts, and um, yeah. So it was super tough, but like I said, you can't change it now. So look back on what went well, and have little bit of pride in that. But
Yeah. I'll say this, like, if anybody listening and has been in your shoes, like, for you to say, like, you know what, it was worse than death. Like, people are going to understand that who have been in your shoes before, who have dealt with a loss like that. Like, I'm sure Terry will tell you, like, when he didn't make the Olympic team, like, that felt like worse than a death. So like, there are going to be people who are that's going to hit him, like, yeah, I know my moment is this. That felt like worse than a death.
yeah.
How did you kind of pull yourself out of that? Like, did you let yourself like sink for a while, or did you just like quickly turn the next page? Because I mean, that can eat you alive at times, you know?
Um, I don't. I mean, it it was tough, but right after the season, like I at that time, I still had like a lot of support coming
Mhm.
from Tom and Terry, and so like that made it better. Like they weren't at that at that time they weren't like they're like, all right, you didn't perform, so we're gonna kick you to the curb type of thing. They were like, hey, we understand like it didn't go your way, but you're still, you know, like you still need to have your, you still need to try to be a national champ. Like you're tough. And so that made it easier, right? Like they're when those guys are still believing in you, you know what I mean? Made it easier to
Yeah.
kind of pull yourself out of it a little bit. Um,
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sort of reading between the lines here that like, was there a point where like that conversation wasn't going that way?
so
Not necessarily that they didn't believe in you, maybe, but maybe they believed in somebody else more. Cause like, you know,
yeah, yeah. So I guess what happened, um, just I mean, God, it was basically the end of August that school's almost starting, and
wow, really?
I find out that Stephen Buchanan's transferring in, right? I see it on Twitter, um, and had I mean just no idea that was happening, and it was like a week before school started, um, and so
Wow.
that obviously caught me off guard, and like I had uh, people, you know, coaches, people, whatever, like calling me asking if I wanted to transfer like before I could even like process that like seriously like oh he's transferring here like I just didn't it took me a little bit like because no one talked to me about it and not no one knew about it um yeah and then so there and obviously I had to make a decision um if I wanted to compete with a freaking super tough dude for my spot, or if I wanted to, make sure that I was competing at the national tournament at the end of the year.
Right.
Um, and they, I, I had a really good relationship with Tom and Terry. Um, Still have a really good relationship with Nelson Brands, Terry's son, as in his wedding, um, and still to this day good friends. But I tried to talk to them guys like I kind of had already made up my mind like I have to leave, but I wanted to like talk it through with them. Um, and they wouldn't answer their phone, and multiple times for like 2 days I just kept calling, and never answer their phone, never, they wouldn't talk to me. And like this before I like actually made my decision. It's like, all right, well now I guess it's easy to make my decision. um and so that hurt a lot because I looked up to those guys a lot. I mean, shit, I still do. I don't like admitting it, but had a really good relationship. And then, um, it wasn't about the fact that they, because the portal is how it is, right? I mean, it's not the first guy it's happened to, and I don't blame them for getting a guy like that, and I don't blame Buchanan, like, don't blame the situation. It sucks, but it is what it is. But obviously, I wish I could have left on better terms with those guys. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and so that was hard. That was hard, and I think looking back, I think it affected me. You know, kind of the whole season, just
Really?
because just because, just that in the back of your head, like, um, it just sucked. Like, it's not what I wanted. You know what I mean? Like I just full Hawkeye, and I loved it the year before. I loved it. Like I wanted to do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so it was hard. It was hard to leave.
And as a fan, I mean, I grew up a Hawkeye fan. I have a Hawkeye tattoo on me because
Yeah.
I went to Iowa for a semester. Yeah. And one of my buddies there was like, "Hey, you want to go get a tattoo?" And I was like, "All right, sure." So I got the Hawkeye wrestling tattoo on me, and um, you know, the way I don't mean this disparagingly, but like just the way I was raised, like when you saw somebody like Zach Glazier wait their turn and show up, and then all of a sudden, like, he's the man and he's doing what he was doing. Like, for me as a fan, like, that's what I grew up being like, that's Iowa wrestling, that's an Iowa wrestler. So like when that all went down, just from my perspective, I was hurt. I was hurt. Like,
Okay.
I had this guy that I was rooting for, who I thought put everything, blood, sweat, and tears into the program. And so, sorry, a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm sure maybe I'm speaking for a lot of Iowa wrestling fans, but like, we watched and you waited your turn. You did everything you're supposed to do. And then that happens. It just felt like, I don't know. We just, like, as a fan, I just felt like, how do you do that to one of your own? And like, they're not going to say anything about it. And I'm not asking you to come on here and throw stones, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to just say that from the bottom of my heart. Like,
I
watching how it go down, like,
yeah,
I felt
appreciate that.
bad about it. Like, I felt bad for you. Felt bad for your family, and it made me sort of, yeah, take a step back a little bit as a fan and be like, what are we doing here? Why would we do that to somebody like that?
Yeah, and like I said, it's not. I mean, the circumstances sucked for me, but like it, I don't blame the circumstances. Like, it is what it is. Like, they are going to recruit the best guys, and I don't blame a guy for wanting to wrestle at Iowa and take a bunch of money to do it. And I don't like the circuit. It is what it is. Like, I don't blame any of that. It's just the way in which it was handled.
Correct.
Um, no one ever telling me about it and then refusing to explain themselves or talk about it after the fact. Obviously that could have been different. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, and I'll take it one step further and also saying that right before the season. I mean that puts you in such a bind. Now you have to try to find a place where you can go. Who's going to
yep.
accept your credits? Who wants you? Like, where's my major? I'm going to try to get a master's program. I have to get into a master's program. Like, there's so much in that dynamic that people don't necessarily like. They
Oh,
just think you can just go wrestle wherever, and it's like, no, that's not the case. Like,
it was insane because that happened and it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and like places were starting school on that next Monday.
yeah.
And so like I had like 2 days to like make a decision on where I'm gonna go. And
Did
like,
you go and look anywhere?
Not physically, no. No. I didn't have time. I did
So
not
this is
have time.
funny, not funny. I don't know. This is interesting because like I talked to Bradley Hill, and I think he
Yep.
was he a teammate of yours, and
Yep. Yep.
he same similar situation. He was like, I'm gonna transfer, and he just left for Oklahoma. He's like, I never toured there. I just was like, I talked to the coach, and I'm going. I'm like, you could have showed up in
Yeah.
Hagen, Norman. Like, so
Yeah. Well, yeah, I kind of started I left first and then a bunch of them other guys decided
oh, so
to
you were the first, and then everyone else followed you because there were like 4 or 5 that transferred that year to South Dakota State.
yeah. Yep. That's kind of how it happened. Like, yeah, everyone was asking me like, "Oh, like how's this work? Like how you making this happen? Whatever." Like I don't know, it's crazy. I can try to help you, but
Yeah. Now
yeah,
with
it
all that
was
that with all that that went on there, um, did you feel a sense of solidarity that some of the guys also transferred and came with you? Like, was it a kind of like a silent stand that they took in a sense?
yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think it was helpful. Like, you know, those guys came with, and so makes made me feel good from a sense that they're like, uh, I don't know, I don't want to say trusting me, but in like following me, I guess, and then just having them, right? To go through the situation together. And I'm not the only one, right? That helped a little bit. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, how it sounds like it kind of affected you. When did you start to come to terms with like that actually happened and like I need to close that chapter and move on, because you kind of said it sort of affected you most of that following season at South Dakota State, even though you had a really good season, you know, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I did, honestly. Like I still I still hate that it happened. Like
really, yeah,
I still don't know if I'm like over it in a sense. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
still is like it's I still something I think about, and I still wish it wasn't that way, you
wow,
know?
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it affected me. It was hard. And then that, and then I freaking injuries again. I tore my pec last seat right before Christmas, and so
geez,
that
really? Was it kind of on the same side as your other shoulder injuries?
yeah. Well, I had both shoulders
Oh,
done.
you had both shoulders done. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. And then I tore my pec, and that was tough. And so I didn't really like that was right before Christmas. So then I didn't really wrestle at all until I think I wrestled two or one. I think I wrestled two duels right before Big 12s, and I had to go to Lockhaven Open tournament because I needed matches to be able to allocate a spot.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I went. So I like that heart of the season there. January, February, I was
yeah,
off the mat, not wrestling at all. And then like even when I did wrestle, like I wasn't, training, like I wasn't wrestling live. Because I didn't want to like hurt myself more.
yeah,
So yeah, it was challenging for sure. But
yeah. Um, I work with the Air Force Academy wrestling team now as the director of ops,
yeah.
and I told Coach Barber, um, they kind of asked me what I was doing tonight, and I was like, yeah, I gotta go back do a podcast with Zach Glazier, and they're like, oh, really? Yeah, he beat up on our 97 pounder last year at Big 12. So I don't know how they feel that I'm sitting here talking to you right now.
Oh,
I kind of
that's funny.
forgot that you wrestled Burb last year in the Big 12
Yeah. Yep.
and kind of showed him how to wrestle.
Uh,
uh, but anyway, I like to ask my guests this because like we get wrapped up in life and stuff, and we don't actually have this dedicated time sometimes to just sit down
Yeah.
and think about our wrestling. When you look over the course of your career and now that it's potentially officially over, maybe,
Yeah. Yep.
like,
Officially over now.
you
Yep.
know, like, what do you think about it? Like when you were little Zach Glazer, 3 years old, going
Yeah.
into wrestling practice, and now you're, 25, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Um, I mean, what do you think about the last 22 years of your life that you've dedicated to wrestling?
Yeah. Um, I mean, just it, I satisfied and proud and happy of how it went. Obviously there's a lot of stuff on the table that, didn't accomplish, to be a be a D1 All American, want, do that in a Hawkeye singlet specifically, and, live on that wall forever. Right. But, you know, so there's that. But besides that, I mean, just the experiences that I've been able to have, even, good and bad, right? The experiences make you, make your character and develop you as a person. And so just I'm definitely grateful for all of it, and it's been fun and not done, right? Like I'll be, coaching in some capacity, I'm sure forever,
Yeah.
whether whatever it might be high school or maybe college here, we'll see. But I'm sure I'll always be in a wrestling room. So
Yeah. Yeah, because Rochester has a pretty good JUCO program, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
they do, yeah.
so, I mean, you could make the hour trip with your mom. You could ride with her every day and go to go to Rochester and
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm really good friends with the Rochester coach. He used to coach at Albert Lea, so he was one of my old coaches.
oh,
But,
really? Well, perfect. There you
yeah,
go. I just got you.
yeah.
I just got you a job.
There you go.
No, I'm pretty sure they're like, because it's interesting. JUCO has like two classes essentially, in a sense, kind of weird.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
like
And
the scholarship and non-scholarship
yes,
schools.
yeah.
Yeah,
And Rochester's really like they're pretty good at. Are they the
they're
non-scholarship or the
yeah,
scholarship?
yep,
Non-scholarship.
yep. They've been the last handful of years, but really for a long time. I think they've been the top non-scholarship school in the country. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
perfect, perfect fit
yeah,
for you right there. Potentially,
yeah,
what, maybe
yeah.
high school is more your thing. I don't know, but yeah. I think the one thing I just want to add here, you said like you wanted your name up there on the wall forever, but I think you're going to be surprised that the amount of people that as time goes on, people are going to say, "Hey, remember Zach Glazer?" And they're going to be like, "Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah." Like, I think
Yeah.
your name is going to last a lot longer than what you think, personally, because
No,
that one year was pretty special, man. Like, I mean, from a fan perspective, it was pretty special.
yeah, no, I
So I don't know.
appreciate
That's
that. It
my two
it
cents.
is for it's for sure. Just wrestling in the state of Iowa is just freaking awesome, man. I love doing camps there,
Oh, you do
because it's
camps? Okay,
yeah, in the last couple summers, and
nice.
and like anytime I'm in the state of Iowa versus, I've done camps in Minnesota or Illinois or South Dakota. Like in the state of Iowa, it's freaking awesome. Because even when I transferred, I like you still got those kids just like look up to you a lot, and they're just so excited about wrestling and excited to be there. And so I do, it's noticeable. It's noticeable. So I love being able to do camps in Iowa and go back and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say here is like I appreciate you being so open and honest and candid about your experience, and I think as people listen to this, I think there's going to be a level of like uh, you'll be looked up to also by people who are a little bit older than just kids because of the way everything transpired and the way you handled it. Like you just seemed like you handled it with such maturity. when, any moment, and no one would have blamed you if you would have been all mad and pissed off and, you know, all said all the things like, but the way you just kind of conducted yourself, I think people are going to see that and look up to you for that reason too. Just something I think about, but
Yeah. No, thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Because I mean, obviously wrestling, what you did on the mat, people look up to, but also how you conduct yourself off the mat is another big thing that people will look up,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
to you for.
for
So,
sure. For
you
sure.
know, I don't know if anyone's really looking up to AJ Ferrari and his double birds, but I don't know.
Yeah, who
Look,
knows? Who knows?
yeah.
Everyone's got a part to play, I guess.
Yeah. So, lastly here, I just want to ask, kind of
Yeah.
what's in your future? You kind of mentioned, maybe moving back to Albert Lea and working
Yeah.
for your dad's construction business. Is that sort of the path it sounds like you're going to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I'll still find, uh, we'll see. I mean, my brother's gonna still be here at St. Cloud. Um, and so
Oh,
whether
is
that's
he a junior this year?
he was a sophomore, he's got 2 years
Oh
left.
my gosh, he was just a soft. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you might stick around
So
maybe and coach him.
so, yeah, so I mean, I might be around, right? Not
Okay.
necessarily, like, in the room every day like I was this year, but be around or like I said, be, uh, involved in wrestling somewhere, somehow. But, yeah, as far as career goes, I'm, you know, I just be back home, but,
How far of a drive is it for you then? Because if you're back in Albert Lea to St. Cloud State,
uh, yeah, well, it's like 2.5 hours, so
wow. Okay.
it's not really a daily commute thing, but
Right.
we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
We, uh,
Well,
we we have a my brother has a house here that it's our
gotcha.
house, so it was easy for me this year to like just move in,
Yeah.
so that makes things easier,
How
right?
was that rooming with him?
Place to stay. It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
oh, I guess I just thought about it, like construction season is probably a little slower in the winter, so
yeah.
probably worked out. Does your dad do anything like I know a lot of people supplement like in the winter when it's slower, like doing snow removal and stuff like that. Is that something he's or
He
no?
he doesn't really. I guess there's a couple things like wintertime's usually just time to like regroup and fix things and
True.
get ready for next year. And then he's always just been like it's worked out really good for him and he's made it work out. Like, all right, winter comes, it's wrestling season and
Yeah.
we're focused on wrestling. And so that's kind of always worked out really well for him.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Special thanks to my guest, Zach Glazier, for taking the time to sit down and chat with me. Cover art created and designed by Kristen Gill. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. And you can check me out on YouTube, Instagram, and my Facebook page to hear more of my content. And don't forget to check out my website at letstalkwrestlingpodcast.my.canva.site. And as always, be sure to tune in to hear the next guest of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Take care. See you next time.